Welcome to this deep dive, tailored just for you. Today we're looking at William Hill.
Right, a huge name in betting.
Exactly. Especially if you're in the UK, you've definitely heard of him. Now, we've gone through, the top articles you'd find right now on Google if you search for a William Hill review.
Yeah, including info from places like betplace.us and others that pop up.
So you don't have to wade through all that reading yourself. We've pulled out what we think are the most interesting bits, the important details. The goal here is really to give you a clear picture of what William Hill is offering, say, in 2025.
Right. We want to unpack their sportsbook, the casino side, their app, customer service, all that stuff.
Then also touch on their history and, well, their reputation today, because that seems complicated.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. It's definitely worth digging into. Our mission is basically to cut through the noise for you.
Okay, great. So let's start at the beginning. Where did William Hill actually come from?
Well, they were founded way back in 1934. In the UK, obviously.
Oh, 1934. That's quite a legacy.
It really is. And back then, the focus was apparently mostly on greyhound racing and European football. Very different world.
Definitely. So how did they get from there to being this massive online betting site?
Well, like a lot of the big players, they evolved over time, especially with the internet boom. Now they're actually part of 888 Holdings.
Oh, okay. So they own 888 Sport and Mr. Green too, right?
Exactly. But what's kind of interesting about William Hill is they still have this huge physical presence, like retail betting shops.
Right. I've seen those. How many are there?
The numbers we saw mentioned, around 950 shops, mainly in the UK.
That's significant. A real blend of the old high street bookie and the modern online platform.
Yeah, it's quite a mix. And they're not just UK focused anymore either. They operate internationally, have offices elsewhere, claim millions of players globally.
So a big operation. What about the regulatory side? Are they licensed properly?
Yes, and that's important. They hold licenses from the big ones, the UK Gambling Commission, the Gibraltar Gambling Commissioner, and the Malta Gaming Authority.
Okay, so those licenses basically mean they have to stick to certain rules for fairness and security.
Pretty much. It's kind of a stamp of approval, shows a commitment to operating above board,
So with that long history and licenses, you'd assume they have a rock-solid reputation for being trustworthy.
Generally, yes. I mean, being around since 1934 definitely builds that perception of reliability. Plus, they're visible, right? Sponsorships.
Yeah, I think I remember them sponsoring darts.
The PDC World Darts Championship is a big one for them. They used to do the Scottish Cup, too, involved in horse racing, even some NBA stuff.
Okay. I feel a but coming. You mentioned things were complicated.
Yeah, here's where it gets, well, interesting. Despite that history and visibility, if you look at recent customer reviews online, it's a different story.
How so? What are people saying?
Well, platforms like Trustpilot show quite a lot of dissatisfaction. Common complaints seem to be around bonuses not working right, accounts getting restricted suddenly, and real issues with customer service.
That really clashes with the image of a long-established, reliable company.
It does, and it's a noticeable contrast to the professional reviews you often find in those top Google results. Those tend to focus more on the positives, like the sheer range of betting options.
That's a really key point for anyone listening to bear in mind. Okay, let's pivot to what they actually offer. The sportsbook seems like their main thing.
Absolutely. And it's vast. The sources we looked at mention over 30, sometimes up to 37 different sports categories.
Wow. So what's included in that? The usual suspects.
Oh, yeah. Football is huge, obviously. Everything from the Premier League down to, like, the Kuwait Federation Cup.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, that's niche.
Right. Plus horse racing, rugby, tennis, basketball especially, NBA, American football, UFC, baseball, golf, eSports. And then even more specialized stuff, a really wide net.
And what about betting while the games are actually happening? Live betting.
Yep, that's a core part of their platform. They have a dedicated live betting section covering loads of sports.
Including American sports.
Yeah, the Big Four, North American leagues, MLS, even U.S. college games alongside all the European football and everything else. And they offer live streaming, too.
Oh, really?
For everything.
Well, usually you need to have a funded account or have placed a bet recently. But yeah, live streaming is available for quite a few events, which is great if you like betting in play.
Definitely adds to the experience. Okay, odds. Are they competitive? Are you getting good value?
Generally, yeah. They seem competitive, pretty much in line with the market. Some reviews suggested they might offer slightly better value on, say, money lines for strong favorites, compared to maybe some specific regional books, like in Canada.
Interesting. Like they want to attract those bets on the likely winners.
Could be a strategy, yeah.
Hmm.
But overall, you're likely getting fair odds.
What about special features? Anything to make betting more interesting than just placing a standard bet?
Yeah, they've got a few things. There's Build Your Odds, which is their name for a same-game parlay.
Right, combining multiple bets from one match. Exactly. Then they have bet boosts, usually bumping the odds on selections that are already at longer odds, so bigger potential payout.
Okay.
And ACA Freedom. And
Yeah.
ACA is an accumulator, right? Multiple bets combined. So ACA Freedom gives you a choice, either boost the odds on your winning a co or get insurance, like your stake back as a free bet if just one leg lets you down.
That's pretty useful for accumulator bettors.
Definitely. For horse racing, they offer best odds guaranteed on UK races, which is standard but important. Oh, and there's hashtag year odds.
What's that?
You can apparently tweet them at William Hill using that hashtag to request odds on a specific net you've thought of that isn't listed.
Huh. That's quite interactive.
Yeah, it's clever. And crucially, they offer cash out and partial cash out on a lot of bets.
Giving you control to lock in a profit or cut your losses.
Precisely. Very important features these days.
Okay, that's a good overview of the sportsbook. What about beyond that? Casino games? Poker?
They do have an online casino. It's got slots, table games like blackjack and roulette, video poker, and live dealer games too.
So pretty standard casino offer.
Yeah, it's decent. Though it's worth noting some reviews, particularly looking at the Canadian market, for instance, didn't rank it right at the very top compared to some dedicated online casinos. It's good, but maybe not the absolute best casino out there.
Fair enough. What else?
There's a separate poker app, apparently, games like Caribbean Stud, Texas Hold'em, and they also offer bingo and lottery betting.
Okay, so they're trying to cover pretty much all the bases for online gaming.
Seems like it. A pretty comprehensive suite of options beyond just sports.
Right. Now, how easy is it all to use? Let's talk about the website and the mobile app experience.
The mobile app generally gets good feedback. Sources described it as well-designed, intuitive, pretty easy to find your way around.
And has all the same stuff as the website, like live streaming.
Yep. Access to the same markets, features, live streaming, in-play betting. It's available for both iOS and Android, as you'd expect.
What about the main website itself?
Generally seen as efficient, easy to navigate for the most part. Some people did mention the color scheme feels a bit, maybe dated.
The classic blue and yellow.
Yeah, that look. And some found navigating to less popular sports could be a little bit clunky, but overall, functional.
Okay. And do they offer any other content on these platforms?
Yeah, they have live streaming, as we mentioned, plus something called William Hill Radio, which focuses on horse racing and greyhound racing commentary. And they produce podcasts covering various sports, too.
So quite a bit of content beyond just placing bets.
Trying to keep users engaged on the platform.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk bonuses and promotions. Always a big draw for people choosing a betting site. What's on offer?
For new customers, they usually have welcome offers. The examples we saw were things like bet £10, get £30 in free bets. That's common in the UK.
Right.
And in Canada, there was mention of a bonus up to $500. But, and this is crucial, you always need to read the terms and conditions.
Always.
Yeah.
What kind of things should people look out for?
Minimum bet amounts to qualify. Minimum odds for those qualifying bets, expiry dates on the free bets or bonus funds, and restrictions on how you can actually use the bonus. They're never just free cash.
Good point. What about for people who already have an account?
They have ongoing promos too, things like Scratch of the Day, which is a daily free game, a prediction game called Free or Four, the ACA Freedom and Bet Boost we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Something called Bonus Drop.
So regular incentives to keep playing.
Exactly. One other thing to watch out for with bonuses, though sometimes specific deposit methods might be excluded.
Like what?
Occasionally, deposits made using e-wallets like PayPal or Skrill might not qualify you for certain welcome bonuses. It's always in the small print.
Okay. Definitely something to check before you deposit if you're aiming for a specific bonus. Now, the practical side, getting money in and out, what are the options?
They support a pretty wide range. Debit and credit cards, Visa, MasterCard. E-wallets are big: PayPal, Skrill, Neteller, bank transfers, Apple Pay, PaySafeCard, lots of common methods.
And are the limits and processing times reasonable?
They vary depending on the method, as usual. Minimums tend to be fairly low. Processing times, deposits are usually instant. Withdrawals take longer.
Any way to get withdrawals faster?
Some sources mention Visa Direct potentially offers quicker withdrawal times if your bank supports it. but generally expect standard processing times.
And you usually have to withdraw back to the same method you deposited with, right?
Yeah, that's standard anti-money laundering procedure for most reputable sites. Withdrawals generally follow the deposit path.
Okay. So what happens if you run into a problem? You mentioned customer service issues earlier. What are the support channels?
The main one they push seems to be live chat, which is available 24/7.
That's good, having round-the-clock support.
It is. However, some of the reviews and sources noted a lack of easily visible email or phone support options on the website.
Really? No phone number listed.
Apparently not readily advertised. And this seems to be a major source of frustration in those negative customer reviews we talked about. People felt it was hard to get issues resolved effectively without those other options.
Yeah, I can see how relying solely on live chat might be frustrating for complex problems. Do they have an FAQ section at least?
Yes, they do have a help section or FAQ on the website that covers common questions, so that's a starting point.
Okay, so live chat is there 24/7, but maybe be prepared that other contact methods might be harder to find or use.
That seems to be the gist of it, based on the feedback we saw.
What about responsible gambling? Do they seem to take that seriously?
Yes, they do seem to have measures in place. The reviews mention tools for setting deposit limits, betting limits.
So you can control your spending?
Right. And also options for taking a break, like timeouts or self-exclusion, and even closing your account permanently if needed.
That's important.
Absolutely. They also provide links to support organizations like GamCare and GambleAware. So the framework for responsible gambling seems to be there.
Okay. Let's circle back then to that contradiction we highlighted earlier. The long, solid history versus these quite negative recent customer experiences.
It's really the crux of the issue when evaluating them now, isn't it? You have this decades-old brand, regulated, huge offerings.
Yeah, ticking a lot of boxes on paper.
But then you look at user feedback on places like Trustpilot, and it's frankly overwhelmingly negative in many recent cases. Issues with bonuses, accounts being limited or closed after wins, difficulties withdrawing funds, poor customer service interactions, even some serious allegations about fairness, though those are harder to verify.
It's a serious disconnect from the professional reviews focusing on market depth and odds.
It really is. It suggests that maybe the day-to-day user experience, particularly when things go wrong or when a play starts winning consistently, might not always live up to the brand's historical reputation.
And you also mentioned something about Ontario.
Right. Important note for Canadian listeners, William Hill isn't currently available in the regulated Ontario market. They're apparently awaiting their iGaming license there. So availability depends on your location.
Okay. So after this deep dive, looking at all these angles from the recent reviews and sources like betplace.us, what's the final picture for someone thinking about William Hill in 2025?
Well, you definitely have a clearer, more rounded view now, I hope. You can see the historical strength, the sheer breadth of what they offer. Sportsbook, casino, poker, bingo. It's massive.
Tons of options, competitive odds generally, established name.
Exactly. Those are the positives that come through. The features like Build Your Odds, A Cuck of Freedom, the app functionality, they're all solid points.
But, and it's a significant but.
Yeah. It seems really crucial for anyone considering them to also be aware of the potential downsides highlighted in that recent customer feedback.
Especially around customer service, accessibility, and responsiveness, and those issues people reported with account management and withdrawals.
Absolutely. It suggests maybe a bit of caution is warranted. Don't just rely on the brand name. Weigh these potential issues too.
So, as always, the advice is really to do your own homework.
Definitely. Read the latest user reviews yourself. Maybe test out the customer service with a simple query before depositing much, and really think about what's most important to you on a betting site. Is it the widest range of markets, or is it knowing you can easily resolve an issue if one pops up?
That's sound advice. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Remember, you can find more links to the articles we drew from those top Google results we mentioned and other resources, potentially including betplace.us, if relevant, right there in the caption below this deep dive. We hope this has given you some valuable insights into William Hill as they stand today. What are your thoughts? Have used them recently? Let us know. And what other betting platforms or aspects of online gambling should we dive into next?